Oh look, can you see? Just next to the petrol station. Yeah, that's it, that's it, to the left. You can see there, look, they're regenerating again. How will historians judge this regeneration era of the 90s and noughties? Will they see this as a golden age of self-sufficient communities, new cycle paths, and ecological buildings? Or will they just see this as an era of further privatisation of public land and increasing gentrification with new build? Or will these historians lose their notes, mumble, forget names and dates, skim read, and look forward to tea time?
You know what I mean? Just to get that bit and all.
According to the English Place Name Society, Sneinton means Snot's Farm and was a subsidiary settlement of Snottingham, otherwise known as Nottingham, which meant the estate of the people who follow Snot. Historian Barry Cox reckons that these were primary settlements which originated sometime between the 6th and the 8th centuries. Although neither Barry Cox nor the English Place Name Society tell us who Mr. Snot was and why anybody would want to be called Snot. We can see from where the oldest buildings are in Sneinton and Nottingham, the two medieval parish churches, where the original settlements would have been. They were sited on two sandstone hills, Nottingham in the west and Sneinton in the east. These places were divided by a small valley, and at the bottom of that valley was a stream called the Beck. It was this damp and boggy landscape which Earl Manvers and the Corporation of Nottingham sold off in the late 18th and early 19th century. The regulations for building enforced by these landowners were few and far between, and so this became a landscape of slums, back-to-back housing, poor sanitary conditions, and poverty. Before the Industrial Revolution, Sneinton was an agricultural community. The village had three principal fields. In the south were the meadows, where the villagers sent out the animals to pasture by the banks of the River Trent. In the west were the sandstone hills and caves. Here the soil was poorer and the people had to scrape out a living as sandmen, brewers and framework knitters. In the east were the Coopermore clay fields along Sneinton Dale, an ideal landscape for arable farming and brickmaking. Before the age of steam, a number of windmills were built on top of the sandstone hills, taking advantage of the wind whipping up from the valley of the River Trent. At the centre of village life was the church and the manor, both patronised by the Pierpont family from the 13th century onwards, who later became known as Earl Manvers. Perhaps they weren't interested in the poor landscape of Sneinton, and so they leased much of the manor to the Morley family. These were a people of petty industrialists, farmers and liberals. Once the Industrial Revolution was underway, the Morley family were among the first to create a factory for hosiery. They were also noted for their fair pay and good hours of work. In this poverty-stricken industrial landscape, therefore, Sneinton became a place of nonconformity and religious do-gooders, or more precisely,
Methodists, Congregationalists, ragged schools,
and of course the home of William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army.
Booth's charity gave to the poor whether they were deserving or not. As a young man he was inspired by walking from the hill of Sneinton to the hill of Nottingham, and as he passed between those two places he would have of course witnessed the slums. Victoria Baths was built to help alleviate those slum problems. In 1877, the borough boundary of Nottingham was extended to encompass places like Lenton, Sneinton and Radford. As a result, the third Earl Manvers realised he could make some money by selling off the rest of his manor to property developers.
By 1900, along the slopes of Sneinton Dale, and in between the old Georgian centre and the slums, were built row after row of red brick terraced house. It wasn't until the 1930s when the council cleared the slums of Sneinton and replaced them with a landscape, bus depots, council houses and wholesale market buildings.
This very same landscape, which was sold off by Earl Manvers and the Corporation of Nottingham 200 years ago, was again earmarked for regeneration in 2008. Whether this regeneration will improve things for Sneinton remains to be seen. It seems as though all our grand plans of tomorrow have already been influenced by the mistakes of the past.